So, economic recession, record high inflation, all at one time. Two opposing market cycles, or economic cycles rather, that the Federal Reserve and the government have to use two totally different tool sets to fight. For the first time in American history, for the most part, this is happening all at one time. We are headed into or currently in an economic recession that may play out for many months to come. And inflation isn't showing many signs of slowing down significantly anytime soon. So economic recession, in its simplest definition, is basically a contraction in the business cycle. There are many forms of economic recessions, but for this video and for simpler terms, we're going to just stick to the general concept of a recession. So economic contraction, you can basically say, is a slowdown of the velocity of money. And there's a few consequences that come with that. Layoffs in vulnerable industries and companies hit hardest by the recession. Usually fluctuations in interest rates. And a major one that a lot of us are going to feel in the next 6, 12, 24 months and possibly beyond is tightening in lending standards. Inflation, on the other hand, is the increase in prices for goods and services. And you can also say a decrease in purchasing power, though some economists would argue that you may not have those both going on at the same time, but that's kind of digging in deep. The reality of it is, for those of us in the middle, this is extremely challenging to navigate. It's really hard for our Federal Reserve and the government to do their part in trying to minimize economic pain from these two cycles at the same time. Because again, what they need to do to successfully quell or defeat one overinflates the other. So what I wanted to cover in this video today is basically blitzing out a series of things, strategies, tips, and tactics you guys can use on a daily basis or going into the coming months that will help minimize some of the negative effects of this recession that we're likely headed into and this record high inflation that we're already dealing with. And these tactics may also help some of you who are in position or willing to work to get in position the opportunity to actually get ahead during this time. So before we dive deeper into this conversation, I want you guys to take a moment to support the channel. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell icon. If you've paid attention to my channel at all, or if you take a look right now, you can tell I upload videos on multiple times a week or even on a daily basis. My goal is to make sure that I can reach as many individuals and households as possible in helping you get the guidance and the information you need to up-level your finances to improve your quality of life. So I want you guys to support the channel so the channel can keep supporting you. Thank you for your support, and let's get started. So we've briefly covered what an economic recession is and what inflation is. On a base level, what this means for us as everyday individuals is that money may potentially be harder to come by, and the money that we have may purchase us less, all at the same time. So what I did was take the time out to lay out about 9 or 10 different steps that you can take or things to consider to help minimize the damage from both of these. And if you have the right control or you're in the right position, you may be able to actually surplus to the positive during these crazy economic times. So the first one I put down is protect your income. This is extremely important right now. This is your baseline to your personal finances right now, because the reality of it is you need to do your homework in making sure that you are aware how vulnerable your income is in a recession right now. So are you in an industry with a company or in a position with a company within an industry that's extremely vulnerable? Right now, tech companies are a good example. There are significant layoffs coming and already starting with many startup companies and tech companies, and they're not going to be the only ones. There'll be hiring freezes, so on and so forth. So you need to do your research on finding out how vulnerable are you currently, and how can you improve your value in the marketplace with your existing company and your existing position. And if you're going to take the risk of leaping from job to job right now, or if heavens forbid you lose your job, you need to find out how you can get in a position to be as invaluable as possible. You need to be as irreplaceable as possible. The next thing that I put down is to increase your income by any means legally necessary. If you have the ability to control tips, commission, overtime, picking up additional work in any capacity you can, do that. This is the time to do it, because what you basically gonna need from your income, again, is if money's harder to come by, then you need to do your best to get as much of it as you can. And if your purchasing power is decreasing, then you need to compensate for that by increasing your income if you want to maintain your standard of living. The next thing that I put down is budget the best you can. This is going to be cutting back unnecessary spending. You have to determine what unnecessary spending is, and you have to be honest with yourself in the process of doing so. You're going to watch many financial channels that break down all the different things that are considered frivolous, but in your personal perspective and in your personal household, you make that decision. That Starbucks may be life or death to you, so that may not be where that cut comes from. You know, you may have different hobbies and interests and habits that for you, it's just not realistic to cut, that other people may see as easy to cut. So you have to make that determination. But the reality of it is you may not be able to spend as you've been doing up to this point in time. Within the budgeting recommendation, if you have any opportunity to split your housing costs, which is for the vast majority of us is the highest consistent expense that we have, housing. If you have an opportunity to house hack in any capacity, whether you own a property or rent a property or stay with family, if you have any realistic capacity to cut your housing expense, this is a great way to bite into your expenses. The next thing that I put down is to limit or avoid unproductive debt. I am a huge proponent for leverage. Debt is a phenomenal tool economically and financially speaking, if you know what you're doing and you're using the right tools. It is absolute devastation when you're using the wrong tools or when you're not using it as a tool at all and you're allowing it to harm you and chew at your income and chew at your finances. Stay away from unproductive debt. That's just black and white, plain and simple. Master your banking relationship. The mastering your banking relationship means to optimize it. Earn every penny of interest you can earn on your checking and savings accounts. Any excess cash that you have that is not currently invested needs to be in the highest yielding account possible that you can afford to put away if it's illiquid, or put into a high yielding savings account or a low interest earning checking account. And you need to minimize or avoid all fees. You need to get as many perks and benefits on your accounts that can bring monetary gain to you. And you need to really, if you're in a position with your credit, optimize your credit cards. I'm going to throw that in the mix with optimizing your banking relationship, because what this does is help you to fight inflation by earning rewards points and cash back on your spending. If you can get 2, 3, 4, 5% cash back on your spending, then that chips away at the 7, 8, 9, or 10% inflation that we may be experiencing at this current time. So optimize your banking relationships if you're in a position to do so. If you're currently investing, you need to reevaluate your investments. What they were doing 2 or 3 years ago is not what they're going to be doing right now or in the next few years, most likely. Things are changing really fast. Your investments, particularly in the stock market, need to be reevaluated. You should already be doing this a couple times a year, to be honest, but most of us don't. We set it and forget it, and that's fine up until it's not fine. Get it reevaluated. If you have an advisor or if you're managing your own investments, revisit your investments and see if you're invested somewhere that's vulnerable to our current economic state. Understand the times that we're in and how it's affecting your investments to minimize losses. I also put tread water, basically meaning get the gains where you can get the gains in your investments. Don't be greedy if you don't have a confident play that you know is going to get you a solid return at this time. If you're not that skilled, knowledgeable, or just got great timing, this is not a time to necessarily go for broke. Tread water by getting whatever positive returns you can or mitigating the negative losses that you can in your investments. Stay informed. Find quality sources for information and stay up to date on financial matters and economic matters and government policies. Channels like these and others on YouTube and articles. Find quality content creators and news sources to stay on top of everything that's going on, and look for opportunities if you are in position. If you have the capital, the credit, job security, and you're in a position where, hey, technically I don't need to be in survival mode or panic mode, then go for it. I support it 110%. Take your resources and go out there and find the dozens and dozens and dozens of opportunities that are going to be out there that fit your financial situation and your financial goals in the long haul, and take advantage and take action. I thank y'all for tuning in. I hope this information was valuable. I'm pretty confident that it was. I had enjoyed bringing this information to y'all. Leave some comments down below on your thoughts on the list that I presented for you. Let me know where I could have did better or I talked about more, or let me know what I put on your mind that was valuable. I want you guys to like, comment, and subscribe. Stay focused. Stay in motion. See y'all soon.